It is Friday. Got to get down on Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, we have made it. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Quoting the age-old wisdom, kicking in the front seat, sitting in the back seat. Got to make up my mind. Which seat can I take? Wow. That's a throwback. Always applicable. Hello, Carson Long here, Writing Theory. I see we got Corby, we got Kaylee Dragonfly, Mina, hello, welcome back. 59, love to see you here. And a new one, is it Moonan? Is that how you pronounce it? Let me know. Oh, and did I miss anyone here? That looks pretty good. All right, everyone, Friday, end of the week. We made it. All the hard stuff hopefully is done. Anyone have any cool plans for the weekend? Anyone doing anything cool? Munan, welcome. We're going to start off today with our classic 10-20 minute chill out before we do our writing. If it is your first time in the live stream, first off, we just kind of give people time to show up. We kind of hang out. You can ask questions about story stuff. Tell me anything cool you've come across lately. I'm going to do some Wordle stuff, and then we actually get to work. Whether you are writing a story, whether you are editing something, whether you're just trying to come up with ideas, the whole idea of the live stream is that we hang out and then we do some work. We do 20 minutes of actual writing. I got lo-fi music playing in the background. And then we come back, take a breather, chat about if you've come across anything you want to talk about. And then otherwise, we're just getting some work done. And tends to be pretty productive. Let me show you what we're looking at today. We're going to go through some Wordle stuff. I've been on a roll so far. I don't think anyone even noticed my bandle yesterday was a clutch grab, but those are the kind of things only you get excited about. All right. Any Wordle fans here? Anyone want to tackle Wordle on their own? Let me know if you get it faster than me. How about better reach. A U and an E. Give me a mouse. All right. Our U is, ends with the E too. See, it always feels Corby, is it okay to post the paragraph I'm weighing / struggling with here? Of course. Post it in here. Tell us what you're struggling with. That's what we're here for. Let's go. Kaylee, my cool plan is taking finals. The cool stuff is what happens after you take your finals. Let's get some info out here. Let's try oh God. Come on. This one's an interesting one. A U in the second spot seems strange. Oh, jeez. Corby, the buildings here desperately needed repair, leaning tiredly over the narrow streets. Unlike the raucous wharves, the side streets caressed her ear with melancholy near silence and basked her eyes. Tell us what you're struggling with. Give us some direction. The idea of sharing stuff I'm writing is giving me the heebie-jeebie. Try writing a full novel on stream. Talk about heebies and jeebies. Nudge, get me out of here. Too easy. With shadows too tired. Oh, clearly we must be hitting some word count issues. With shadows too tired to provide full light or full dark, arriving at a dead-end alleyway, the hustle of the port became nothing more than a whisper. A furtiveness pervaded the alley, a sensation shadier than the side streets and their few dejected denizens. She swallowed and dismissed her rising trepidation. Just the flow of it, how it resonates with the reader. I'd like to see some other people chiming in. I'm sort of mulling it over. I like the prose, very descriptive. What the heck are these circles? Hooray. Right? Let's turn up the music a bit. Just the flow of it and how it resonates with the reader. This feels like an introductory paragraph. Our character, this kind of feels like the kind of information we get right when we arrive at a new location. Buildings here desperately need a repair, leaning tiredly over the narrow streets. Big fan of that one. Unlike the, I cannot pronounce this word. Someone, how do you pronounce this? Rauchus? Rauchus? The wharves, the side streets caressed her ear with melancholy, near silence, and basked her eyes with shadows too tired to provide full light or full dark. Raucous. 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 That's what you get on the writing theory stream. You get it. Never mind. That wasn't going anywhere good. Anywhere positive. I think Corby flow wise, I'm okay with this. Too tired to provide full light or full dark. I wouldn't use the descriptor of tired again for the second time in the paragraph. At an alleyway, the hustle of the port became nothing more than a whisper. Has mastered raw cussing. Good old raw cussing. Which you might come down with after having your head in the clouds. What the heck? This one's advanced. Chicken dwellings. These were coops. Or pins? All right, right? Not correct. Chickens live in coops, right? I'm not crazy here. Cries of pain. Ouch. There are a couple sentences that get a little abstract, making it harder to tell what's being described. Yeah, it was my back and forth too. But you know, it's just kind of tough, right? This is giving feedback on prose, which is more of like a style choice. So judging a paragraph completely out of context, it's kind of one thing to talk about the paragraph out of context. It's another thing to see it in the midst of pages and pages of these other sort of proses. So while I don't write with as many sort of purple prose words as I'm seeing here, that's not necessarily something I would say, you know, it messes up the flow or it adds to the flow. That's just a style choice. I think there's a big emphasis on shade, and it's up to you whether that's that recurring motif that you want. If it's not a recurring motif that you're leaning into, then I would say after we have already covered shadow and shade, Let's find another thing that brings that same vibe that you want that's not shade, because that expands the world a little bit more. So like, for example, and this is just my own feedback, Corby. Shadow's too tired to provide full light or full dark. That's also when we were talking about that tired again. Shadier than the side streets. I don't know. It's a tough one. Kind of hard out of context. I don't feel like it necessarily has an overly strong flow or an overly not strong flow. You know what I'm saying? Oh, etc. All right. We've unlocked it. The literal depiction of what you need to win tic-tac-toe. 3? This is probably X's and O's, but then this doesn't make any sense. Dude, this one's crazy. Hooray. What is this? Things counted by some smartwatches. Okay, that's steps. Okay. Owls? What? Could mention the smell of decaying fish being lessened here. Could be. Here's a question. Whenever you're considering things like, okay, I'm describing the location, right? I'm describing the location of where my character is now coming in. I want the reader to feel it. Here's a couple of things to keep in mind. I just am right now editing a video on atmosphere, and I feel like this is really appropriate. In my video on atmosphere, I'm looking at, I think some of you in the live stream the other day saw this. In this video on atmosphere, honestly, one of the best depictions of atmosphere in a novel. This is The Bad Beginning, Series of Unfortunate Events. And one of the big takeaways from this video is the fact that the feeling you're trying to evoke in the reader is something that comes out in every choice you make. And a lot of times we kind of like, oh, Danny, hello. I miss you from the up above. Every single decision you make as a writer, a lot of it is just like, I want to tell the good story, right? I want the reader to know what's happening. I want the characters to seem realistic. But with Lemony Snicket, every single sentence is drenched in an obvious choice to help portray the tone of the novel. And so when you're in this sort of editing stage, going through a paragraph, like, okay, you know, what's the move here? Does it flow right? One of these extra steps you could choose to take is, especially when we're talking about prose, is like, okay, here's the words I choose to describe this scene. But is there any way I can purposefully portray this stuff in order to make the reader feel either the same way that we've felt throughout the whole novel, drenching it in that atmosphere, or what a lot of other books do, I'm going to have times when I'm going to portray everything. Let's say, you know, we're in a place where this is supposed to solve all of our problems. Now the prose is all hopeful, right? Everything's being described in like this rose-tinted view. But then, inevitably, especially in a novel that's as grim as Cora Bees is, I happen to know, that's when you portray it as good and then rip it away. And it's that whole idea of like juxtaposition, right? I use this in my stories all the time, right? The prose and the descriptors I'm using change based on what's happening currently in that story. Are we in a moment where things are getting better? Then the description's going to focus on the sunlight coming down, feeling warm on your skin. The trees are greener, the grass is greener. And then when things are going wrong, you're not focused on those good things. All of your descriptors are now the gray waters washing up on the shore, the the rocks grinding together underneath your shoes. It's still the same world, but how you portray it to that reader. And I know this isn't exactly what Corby was doing or was asking for, but just top thing on my mind after doing that video. It's hard to do too. It's especially when you have to do it for 100,000 words. You know what I'm saying? Danny says, question about that. What's the difference between atmosphere and style in that case? Are they two words for the same skill set? First off, Danny, great question. In my opinion, atmosphere is an overall goal of the novel, and it sort of is an umbrella term for a bunch of different things you could do to achieve that goal. Right? So style, in the case here, I'm imagining when we're talking style, we're talking word choice, we're talking sentence structure, the POV that you've taken, basically, right? The cool voice that you've taken for the novel. That is one element of atmosphere, because atmosphere extends to so many different things. Naming your characters. In The Bad Beginning, here's 3 locations in The Bad Beginning, and they all contribute to the atmosphere. Doldrum Drive. Oh, that's so... I just picture like a black and white, moody Addams Family style scenery, a car pulling up Doldrum Drive, right? We have the company Moltuary Money Management, just is drenched in that atmosphere. I don't consider that to be style. And again, style is kind of like this ambiguous kind of term, but if you do, then I guess you could say part of that is style. But even like the names of all these characters and all of these locations in The Bad Beginning contribute to that atmosphere. The fact that when the characters are first coming into Count Olaf's location, his house, things are described not as just dirty, as crumbling, leaky faucets, the smell of mold and mildew. And it's all the conscious decisions there to say, I could describe this any way that I want. I'm purposely choosing words that are going to continue to evoke that same feeling. And that's atmosphere. So I would say, in my opinion, for how I define style, style is one of the elements you can use in trying to achieve like an overall atmosphere. That makes sense. I talk a lot with my hands on live stream. Munan says, how do you establish a character's presence? I'm wondering how some character portrayals can evoke feelings like fear, awe, and relief. Here's the number one tip I can give you. Number one tip I can give you is that when it comes to portraying your characters with whatever vibe you want to portray, first thing to remember is it's not always done how you like it in the first draft. This was one of those hard things I had to learn. I kind of thought all of these great novel writers, just like the thing that made them so great is that they just knew how to make a character. So like their first draft, boom, here's, what's a good example? Here's Ender from Ender's Game. Oh, I just wrote this character and they're like iconic. Or like, hey, I really like, my name's Stephen King and I'm going to write this story and boom, here is... what would be another good one? There's so many to choose from. But basically, I always thought it was like, okay, what makes great authors great is that they can like just come up with these great characters. In reality, especially in your first draft, you're trying to get that character down, but you're also getting to the end of the book and you know your character so much better. You're going to reaffirm that character in your editing. And why do I say that? I say that because Munan, after you better understand your character by going through an entire draft, then you really know how you need to introduce them, how their presence needs to be for it to pay off later and to really showcase the character in the best light. Now, for how to establish the presence, one of the tricks I like personally is not so much saying things like, this character is big or strong, or like, not like portraying these kind of qualities in the narration, but instead figuring out ways to communicate that and how other characters are responding to this character, right? You know, let's imagine we're in a fantasy story and like a boulder is just crashed down, blocking all of our characters in the cave, and they all turn to the big barbarian. Or they all turn to the really frail, thin mage off in the corner who's going to have the magic to move it. The simple fact that people are reacting in that way, turning to that character, to me, I think says a lot of really cool things that you never even write down. 69. Wow, Carson, it's like you've never read Anton Chekhov's novel. He spent multiple pages talking about his self-insert and his huge, wide, muscled shoulders. That's funny. I got where you were going with it. I knew where you were going. You who? Yahoo? Earth. Oh, duh. Bro, I cannot figure this one out. Also, I think it's about time to start writing. I'll take you through one last Wordle before we get some get some writing done. I got you, Danny. Sorry, I got so distracted in my tangent. Kayla says this character, who is definitely not me, looks just like me and also is hot. Was Conan a self-insert for R.E. Howard? Okay, here's a question. If you're writing a story and you put yourself in it, is it just a fan fiction of yourself? Help me understand. This is called Housel. With Housel, they show you a property and you have to guess what is being sold. This is a property currently on sale, and you have to guess what price it's being sold at. Also, this house has a bear. Is that a deal breaker for anyone? The house I live in had a bear when I moved in. There's this old stuffed bear, human size, taller than me, sitting on the front deck, and it's made of fabric and cotton, which means over years it just got grosser and grosser, and life started growing on it. And eventually we had to dispose of it. It was too scary. So house barely on the market. Pew, 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 pew. All right, this is Tennessee. I'm gonna say I don't think this is a super expensive house, even though they have a bear. Let's say 450,000. Too low. Let's get another clue. Holy moly. Kaylee says, frankly, I see no problem with self-inserts. That's writing from your personal experience about the person you know best. All of my characters could be seen as an aspect of myself. I think that's totally fair. Now, here's the mistake I made. And this is when I was like, I remember there being a specific point where I noticed this, where like back in high school, I was writing and I was like, man, I really want to make realistic characters. Who do I know best? I know myself. So every character, I was like, every character is going to be reasonable. Every character is going to be level-headed. Like, I'm going to make sure that, like, yeah, they're going to have differences, but like, you know, I know how to portray that. And then the novel was just boring because every character was like, it seems like we're having a conflict. Let's talk about it. Every character I make is 5'4". Self-insert. Does wood naturally mean a more expensive house? I think we were clearly too low. Looks like we got a loft up here. I don't think we're in the millions there though. I think maybe let's try 650. Too low. Oh my god. We don't know yet what the exact location is. Self-inserts favor the weird. Dayswaller, hello, welcome. 3,400 square feet. That's pretty nice. Classic Tennessee. Self-insert, short, skinny blonde chicks. Yeah, oh yeah, this could you could own a whole mountain, this place. All right. I don't think this should be worth $1 million unless, I mean, 3,400 square feet is a lot of square feet. We're still too low. Oh no. 5-bed, okay. Now we're in investment property territory. This is either a house you either buy because you're rich, so your whole family can come out, or a house that you buy so you Airbnb it. If it's an investment property, now we're like, okay, now it's getting more expensive. I'm going to say 1.45 milli. A milli. It's a lot of wood. Too low. I don't... it's only half an acre. The thing is, though, it's probably half an acre in like a gated community with all these extra little things, and also everyone's rich in the community. Okay, on the right side of the screen, this looks like a great movie theater. On the left side of the screen, when that TV is up there, it very much does not look like a enjoyable movie theater experience. You gotta go with a projector screen if you're dedicating a whole room to movies. This has got to be a bigger TV, all I'm saying. Maybe it's the wide angle lens. I don't know. Would you have a theater in your home if you had an extra room and like, let's say $8,000 to just go crazy? Would you go with a theater, or would you go with like a... Would you go with like a game room with a billiards table? Or a library, Danny? I guess a library too. You gotta keep us on brand with the books and the writing. I'll go 2.2. But I don't know if it's worth it. Too high. One more guess. Okay. It's got a tennis court, a pickleball court, and an exercise room. Oh my God, look on the right side over here. All right, so tennis court, pickleball court. First thing, those are not two separate entities. These are probably, they're on the same court, just to set expectations. As a beginner pickleball player, I can tell you, multi-use. What was the other thing? And an exercise room. Pickleball is the cranberry of sports. I've never heard it put that way. Getting into everything. That's true, though. It is very true. All right. Here's the thing. Also, I feel like my view is not right or something. I feel I can't. It's between 1.4 and 2.2. I think we go 1.8. Split the difference. And I think we got it. Because you have to be like within 10%. It was 1.9. 1.9. You can even, after this, go view the listing. This is always fun. In Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Well, there's why. Let's look at the exterior. The bear is crazy. Oh my God! Why didn't they show this picture? I heard you like decks. So we put a deck on your deck on your deck. This is crazy. Nice view from every single deck. That's insane. A hot tub. You got to have a jacuzzi in Gatlinburg. That's classic. Every single house here is going to be the exact same. Someone's making millions of dollars. Look at this. All right, I want to see okay, tennis court, pickleball court, gym. In the community or in the house? That's what I need to know. Here's the wet bar. Two triple bunk beds? Brother, this is an investment property for sure. 2 triple bunk. 6 people are sleeping in this room. Jeez, and I thought it was ritzy when my house in Alaska had a rotting deck with rails made of birch logs and chicken wire. Our place when we moved in here also had rotting decks. Last year before we got married, we made a whole effort to replace them. A headache, but it's so much better now. Also, can you imagine? First off, carbon dioxide poisoning for sure in this room. This is crazy. Top bunk, you can't even sit up on your elbows. We had a bottom and top, now we got middle. They won't even show the pickleball court. They're scared. All right, we had our fun. I don't need to be for real. Is it worse to sleep in the middle of a triple bunk bed, in the top, or the bottom? What's the worst spot in a triple bunk bed? If you're in the middle, you have someone above and below you. If you're in the top, I feel like you feel every single movement of all the people below. But if you're in the bottom, you have all the odors drifting down. That's a tough one. There's no winning, to be honest. Not in the middle, especially on burrito night. First off, that you're not allowed to have burritos or any sort of bean-focused meal in that house. If you have 6 people in a room and 2 triple bunk beds, not allowed. Stinkiness rises. Why does that sound like a battle cry? Stinkiness rises. Amina says top because I don't want to hit my head on the roof. You could hit your head on the ceiling instead. Absolutely ridiculous to have such a massive house but pack everyone in a single room like sardines. It'd be like that. Tooting equals evicted. Quote of the day. Dang it. My word count got overwritten again. 57, 295. Down has easy access, up superior positioning, middle is like being a middle child. Oh gosh, you're gonna bring up some trauma for some people in chat. Any middle childs in here? Not me. Can't be the middle child when there's only 2 of you. All right, we got 20 minutes on the timer. Who all is doing some writing today? Anyone working on any projects? In the midst of any stories? 3 older brothers growing up. That's a lot of older brothers. All right. I'm sorry to hear that, Kaylee. 69 has a fight scene to figure out. That sounds like fun. I want to do a whole video on action scenes. I haven't done it yet, though. Rose of Sorrow's done by the end of the month. How close are you? Corby's been working on this book for, I feel like, at least however long the Discord's been around. Kaylee says I'll be doing a few edits and then starting a new chapter. All right, sounds like we got a lot of work to do. And Day Swallower editing Boy Gorilla and adding more stories. That sounds like fun. I remember Boy Gorilla. Danny says I'm going to attempt to write, but I just looked where I left off and was with the dialogue. I have cheese. I can only imagine. All right. Well, it sounds like now's a good time to do our first writing sprint. So we got 20 minutes on the clock. I'm bringing up the music. Let's get to work. I'll see you guys on the other side. First writing sprint is done. How'd everyone do? 57, 763. Kaylee says, one of my kids just told me out of the blue, if I were a fictional character, this is how I'd rip a hole in the fabric of space-time. How would I do it? How would I go about ripping a hole in the fabric of space-time? I kind of like 69's offer. I'd go quantum scissors. Seemed like a safe bet. Safety scissors, because safety first. 59, 291. I got stuck because I don't know how they'll beat the monster yet. That happens to me too. I feel ya. I spent the whole sprint making snacks for the kids. Life happens fast. 115 words for Mina. Still can't kill the perfectionist side of me. It happens. Danny says 345 words, getting my brain into writer mode. Walter's here. What up, Walter? About 200 words. Good night, everybody. Sorry for not saying hi yesterday. Glad to have you here, Walter. Glad to have you here. Wasn't the most productive writing session for me. Sometimes, let me know if this happens to you. I'm pretty sure it's universal, but sometimes I wrap up a scene of like, here's what I needed to do. This was like the big thing I needed to accomplish in this scene. And then I'm like, cool, I've done that. Now I need to get to the next big thing. But there has to be something between these. There has to be like a decompression, some sort of moment where like, you know, we understand the context of what happened, or we have to get characters from place A to place B so the next thing can happen. I gotta figure out a better way to just keep getting to the good stuff. I think that's one of the things that like writers who are really good at pacing structure their plots in a way so that the next thing is, you know, like the important thing happens right at the end of a sequence and you can just skip ahead to the next one, you know? I think that's like a classic Michael Crichton kind of move, like those, you know, those very plot-focused writers. Corby says 78, but the stumbling block is now kicked aside. Let's go. On to the next line edits. Here's a question I always like to ask. And I think there's a video concept in here somewhere. I just haven't done it yet. How do you decide? I'd love to hear your opinions. How do you decide what to write versus what to skip over? How do you decide what to write versus what to skip over? What makes it on the page versus what doesn't? Mina says, I'm trying to write a first-person past tense story with two perspectives. Interesting to say the least. Agreed. Agreed. And Corby says, thanks to everyone who offered insights. It's fun when we can all work together and write and stuff like that. Look at us. Corby says, whatever moves a character or plot forward. Yeah. Mina says, I usually skip over things that don't have much significance. Every sentence has to do something. The general, you know, the general sort of idea. Things on the page have to pay off something, otherwise it gets skipped. I was thinking about this. I can't remember. It might have been 59. It might have been you who were writing like a montage the other day of someone going from normal to famous, basically. And I was thinking about that because like a montage is like this specific thing of like we need to get to the end result, but like we can't just skip ahead. So like what information makes it onto the page versus what do we just let the reader just accept and move on, you know what I mean? Normal to famous was Danny, maybe? Yeah, let me know. I feel like stories need some room to breathe, Kaylee says. Am I the only one who usually likes filler episodes in anime more than the plot driving ones? That's a bold statement. Fake9 says, my montage was picking 4 days out of the 10-day journey to highlight. There we go. I might have getting all my stories mixed up. Kaylee, you might be the only one. Yeah, you actually might be the only one for that. I'm not an anime guy. I haven't yet tackled any anime really. So I can't even comment on the filler episode versus the real meat and potatoes. That's what they call them, the meat and potatoes episodes and the filler episodes. The meat and potato episodes and the white bread episodes, that's the nomenclature. Room to Breathe is good, but that gives the text itself a purpose. It's always one of those things I kind of struggle with, mostly in the sense of like, I want to present a video about organizing your story in a way where you limit these moments of like, the big thing has happened and now we got to get like through a couple things before we're really on the pace for like the next big thing. You know what I mean? I say you know what I mean a lot, you know what I mean? And maybe that's just part of better planning. Who knows? Filler episodes are the ones where we see subplots that are 100% character driven. That's a really good way to put it. Danny says, Room to Breathe can also be prime character development. So I think that's the problem. Even on a montage, there's still stuff happening. Very true. 69 says, filler usually happens in anime because it's going concurrent with the manga. A little meta, some meta information. And it's caught up so the anime has to make something up to fill the space. Yeah. Hence filler arcs that don't occur in the manga. What's the craziest way you've heard manga pronounced? Is anyone out there saying manja? Corby, we're all Raiders of the Lost Ark at the end of the day. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? We're all just trying to avoid the Temple of Doom. We're all on. One day we'll all have our last crusade. As long as you keep your head clear, you're in the kingdom of the Crystal Skull, baby. Lock in. And lock in and get that dial of destiny ready. Here we go. We're about to do some more writing. No one's saying mango in real life. I'm putting 20 more minutes on the clock. We probably have 2.5-ish more writing sprints, which hopefully means at the end of the live stream, you've got like a ton of work done. And that would be awesome. Let's do it. Off we go. Next sprint is done. Lantern Valley, so glad to have you. Welcome. Welcome to the live stream. It's never a party until you're here. And Denny says, this sprint is a wash. My brain is just shut off and won't go on. And to be honest, I'm kind of feeling like that too. I feel like I can't I don't know if like I'm having some like caffeine hit me in a weird way. I was kind of feeling like this the other day. I feel like there's like something between me and my story. Like I'm not, when I'm writing right now, I'm not like in it. You know what I mean? 59 says 296 words, but I had to do something and I didn't want to do to get there. I was hoping to find a better solution. Hey, that's what editing's for. Sorry that happened though. Sometimes you gotta get past it though. I get that. Corby says 221 new words of 9 line. I had to search on Google Maps for something. I found myself searching on Google Maps a couple different times for my story. 83 words, the perfectionist got hands. I ended up with, I'm at 920 words for the day so far. So I've been hitting about 400 something words a sprint. The perfectionist got hands. I like that. Lantern Valley, you doing any writing today? You working on anything? But I feel it. I'm just not in the story today. Sometimes it do be like that. Says Lantern Valley says, just got home from lots of errands, probably transcribing my longhand stuff to the computer. That kind of sounds relaxing. I feel like when you get to that point, you don't have to do as much active thinking unless you're doing, I guess technically you're doing editing too while you do it, while you're transcribing. But that's cool. It's like a second draft and casual. Nice. Corby says, I jumped into a secondary novel as a break from Rows of Shadows. No real new writing for that, just line edits. Nice. Not too much brain work, just expanding upon things and refining. I think... So here's... I don't know if I ever told you guys this. So, like, Upon Careless Gray Hills, the story I'm working on now, that's like my Novella November story I was writing. Right before that, right before November, I got inspired and I started writing a story with the working title Gnome Camp. There's a campground fairly close by to where I live, and in the midst of writing Starlight Farm's Kennel for Talking Dogs, right? This cozy fantasy, kind of fun, heartwarming kind of story. Me and my wife were walking around this campground, and I was like, you know what? I bet there's a great story all about someone who owns a campground and then wrapping it up in like some modern cozy fantasy kind of like there's magical creatures there. And I started writing this, and this story has been I've been mulling over this story. Like, I think I got 16,000 words in before Novella November started, and I wanted to start from scratch. And then I was like, this story's been in my brain, like, begging me to come write it since November, but I want to finish Upon Careless Gray Hills before I do it. I should go back and read this. I had a really good time writing this. Sometimes writing is like you're locked in, exciting, fun. Every time you sit down and write with it, it's like a really cool, exciting thing. Sometimes it just happens, whether it's the scene that you're writing or like you're losing some momentum in a story, it becomes more like work. Corby says, I love that title, Careless Gray Hills. It's based on a poem from John, I think it's like John Whittier, who's Whittier, Alaska's named after. When I was doing some research, I stumbled upon that, and I was like, it was just about something Gray Hills, and I was like, if we throw in a little careless in there, that's got some atmosphere. Mina says, the rare times I manage to clobber the perfectionist, words just flow out. That's awesome. It's tough. It's tough being a perfectionist. That's awesome, Mina. I want to come back to that story. But I gotta solve a murder mystery before I can do something like that. Clobbering words. I like that. Big fan. I like that too. 9-line isn't innovative as a title. It's the format used by military for medevac requests. But in the story, it's a cry for help by the two protagonists. 9-line. I've never heard 9-line before. 59 says, I feel like I'm hard capped at 1,000 words an hour. I don't know how people who can do more than that actually do it. I've found, so the most words I've gotten down in a day is technically 10,000. And that was over like 8 hours of writing. I've hit 7,000 before, and that was pretty exhausting. But also, it feels easy to write and churn out words when you're at a point in your story where like the climax and the ending of the story, at least what I felt like, is when I'm at that point, like I know where I'm going. I know like by the time I've reached the end of a draft, I get it. Like I know how it's going to play out. I've spent 40,000 words getting to this point and thinking about how it's going to end. But like writing anything in Act 2, I would never be able to get 7,000 words down. I've been able to get 5,000. But all of these have been over 4 or 5 hours. Oh, and also, I am always more productive when I do time management kind of stuff than I am if I just sit down and I'm like, I'm going to write for hours. I'm less productive doing it like that than I am in like this Pomodoro style setting where I'm like, I'm going to write for, when it's just me, not on a live stream, I write for 25 minutes and take a 5-minute break. And then write for 25 minutes and a 5-minute break. This is a little bit more laid back. Danny's back with a snack. 59 says, I did 5,000 in a day once, which is insane. To be fair, is insane. But it burned me out so hard I skipped writing the ending for that novella. Oh. You know what? That's totally fair to say. Sometimes if you're like, I'm going to really put in the work today and write as many words as I can. Here's 9,000 words or whatever. The next day, it's really easy to talk yourself out of like writing it all. Either you're burnt out or like you're like, I made good progress yesterday. More important than writing a bunch of words in one day is writing every day or every session that you want to write. So 9-line is relaying all the pertinent information into 9 standard lines. That's what 9-line is. 9 chapters, but outlined 10. 9 chapters. I mean, that writes itself. I mean, not the story, but like the idea. Here's a question. How many stories do you feel like you are actively writing at once? I make myself really just write one story at a time. But do we have anyone here who enjoys dipping between multiple projects at the same time? And here's another question. I found this out before. If those projects that you're writing have very different vibes or even different perspectives, do you find that going from one story of one tone or perspective to the other story, do you find that you end up like mixing up how you should be writing? That's happened to me before. I've been like, oh, I'm writing like first person in this story, and then I'm writing in third person in this other story. And I find when I make a switch, sometimes especially if I'm writing both of them in the same day, I'll accidentally start writing in like the wrong perspective. Doesn't happen a lot, but it do be happening. Gorby says, me. Danny says, I'm writing 2 and editing 1 now. And Think9 says, I tried dipping between different projects, but I find it hard. Oftentimes, I'll forget about the other project for a week if I hyper-focus on one. I mean, maybe that's the move. Maybe the move might be switching a story and giving yourself a longer period of time with each story so that you can gain momentum and further think on that, and then go to the other one to keep things fresh. Lantern Valley says, if I come up with something that doesn't fit into a current project, like a backlog of places, I can put it instead. That way I can write the idea, place it, and move on. Danny says, it takes a minute to make sure I have the right character voice. Definitely. Sometimes I'm writing a Lady A with Ladies B attitude. That's something that I'm kind of like a little wary of when it comes to writing multiple projects, is like, my favorite part of writing is getting like in the weeds of like understanding the characters, and then like it feels like their voice is naturally coming out. And I feel like if I was to dip into multiple stories, maybe, again, I don't do it so much, so I can't really give you a definitive answer. Would I be less likely to be able to like really get in that character's head, or would I just be practicing doing that more? Mina says, I limit myself to one project. It's difficult to keep 2 stories in my head. For me, I don't feel like it's difficult, like in my specific case. If I have 2 stories, I think I have enough bandwidth to try to give them focus. I think the reason why I don't do it is partly I feel like I'm less likely to finish either story if I'm dividing my attention than I am to complete one draft if I'm just giving it, my full attention. Maybe I don't have enough bandwidth. Maybe that's the short way of saying it. Gorby says, so when I'm at a loggerhead, am I allowed to say that? I dip into another one while the other stews in my head. There you go. Carson needs to be severed. Anyone watching Severance? Oh, there's a new Severance episode today. I forgot. The season finale. It's been so good. I need more RAM. Yes. Yes, I do. I think it's definitely a practical skill. It's just a matter of sort of writing would mesh with you. I should think it would be better if you're more of an outliner. Very true. Very true. What do you say we end today with one more sprint? One more good sprint. 20 more minutes of a story. I'm not going at my best pace, but if I stay at my pace I've been going at today, I should wrap up with 1,300 words. And that would feel pretty satisfying. Mina says, install multiple personalities via incomprehensible trauma. Doctors hate this one trick. Psychologists hate this one trick. We trauma bonding. All right, let's do it. Let's do another 20 minutes. End strong. Get some writing done. Get some outlining. Get some transcribing done. Do what you need to. And let's go into the weekend feeling like we made some good progress. 20 minutes on the clock. Turning the music up. I'll see you on the other side. We did it. Look at that. And that's like an hour of writing in the midst of a live stream while having a ball with a bunch of friends. Look at us. Hey. Look at us. How'd everyone do? 58, 820. I ended today with 58,821 words, and that is 1,500 words today. Perose, you heard it here first. 59 says 230 words, but I finished my scene with 5 minutes left on the clock at 12,000 words total, so I need to start thinking about the transition to Act 2. There we go. Love to hear it. Corby, 382 words. Fantastic progress. Kaylee says, I finished my edits for the last chapter and planned some more details for the next chapter. Kaylee, how far in your story are you? I feel like maybe you had said at some point, but I can't remember. Good job, everyone. We still got Mina. Do we still have Danny? How'd everyone do? Mina says 68 new words, and now my story has 461 words. Love it. Love it. Congratulations. Very nice. Very nice. Kaylee says, so I'm on my second draft, but I only have I'm only 3 chapters into this draft. Gotcha. Look at all that progress. Look at us. Wow. Feels good. You know, the live streams, honestly, I feel like the live streams, while at least today and yesterday, maybe it was caffeine hitting me weird, I wasn't like as into my story while I was writing it. I do feel like writing in these live streams tends to make writing, at least for me, a little bit easier. I don't know. What do you think? Young Legend says up to 21,250 words into the edit. Still a long way to go, but moving a lot faster than draft 1. I love to hear it. 21,000 words. That's a lot. That's a lot. Congratulations. Good work. Good discipline. Awesome. Way to go. That is right. Everything in a group is always more awesome. Awesome. Possum. Sawsome. Good job, everyone. We are not doing any weekend live streams, but we will be right back here on Monday doing the same thing. Corby says the music was nice. I'm glad you liked it. It's the same. I think it's only 5 songs. It's the same songs from the Novella November. Shout out to royalty-free lo-fi music. Let's go. To be fair, I do want to say, I did search really hard for at least decent music. So I'm glad you like it. Kaylee says, alas, this draft is a full rewrite instead of an edit. I needed to completely change my main character motivations. So that, you know what, that's something you can really only learn by going through that first draft, though. So I feel you. I know it's not always exhilarating to have to do, but it'll be good for the story. Corby says, still, it was soothing and my mind kind of drifted along with it. That's the goal. Love it. I'm glad to hear. I enjoy hanging out with you all. I can't wait for Monday. We got one more week of live streams. I might try to sit down and do some writing over the weekend. I would really love to be able to wrap this story up by the end of next week. We'll see if that happens. Your boy's over here making a lot of videos. You know, it's still exciting. It's still fun. And I'm glad I can do it with you all. With that being said, that is the end of the live stream. I hope everyone here has a fantastic weekend. I enjoyed hanging out with you. I enjoyed writing. And I feel like it's just nice to be able to end the day feeling like we did something, you know? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Who knows? I hope to see you all on Monday. And if I don't, I hope to see you on Wednesday. And if I don't, I hope to see you at least in the Discord. Enjoy it. Enjoy the rest of your night. Goodbye, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Kaylee says, I enjoyed the live stream. I enjoyed you in the live stream. Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care. I'll see you next week.